Major Nadal Hassan says his client is paralyzed from the chest down. This as the Senate Armed Services Committee looks into at least 18 emails Hassan has had with a radical cleric with ties to the 9/11 hijackers. Jim Mikolashevsky on the beat. What do we know, Jim?
Well, as you said, the Senate Armed Services Committee looking into these emails. First, the government, President Obama, has ordered a complete investigation into those 18 emails. What the counterterrorism task force knew, when did they know it, and should they have should they have taken action that could have actually headed off that terrorist or that attack there at Fort Hood? Now, what the most telling thing that happened last week was when Senator Carl Levin came out of a classified briefing with federal officials, walked to the microphones, and said that he now believes the attack at Fort Hood was a terrorist attack. And we're learning now that apparently among those 18 emails, the suspect, Nadal Hassan, apparently was trying to find a way to donate money under that $10,000 limit to certain Islamic causes that wouldn't have been detected or at least investigated by the federal government. So a lot of moving parts in all this, and it appears that this investigation is moving more toward links with a radical imam who apparently has ties to al-Qaeda.
All right, Jim. Should the government have intervened earlier? Where do you draw the line? How do we balance safety versus liberty? We're now joined by Congressman Tom Rooney, Republican from Florida and former JAG prosecutor who worked at Fort Hood. He is now a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Lynn Sweet back with us. I can't think, Representative Rooney, of somebody better qualified to answer the string of questions so many of us have about this particular instance. But walk us through the use of intelligence, the connecting of the dots. You get the FBI disclosure. There were these emails. We sort of get all these bits and parts, and we're people like myself are vulnerable to having just enough information to be dangerous in terms of reaching a conclusion, so I won't do that. But how ultimately can the government do a better job of flagging this type of behavior, not only inside of the military, but in general?
Well, certainly, Dylan, you want to give the Army the benefit of the doubt that they did everything that they possibly could have when given the opportunity to see somebody that could be danger or a substandard major at the very least. But from all the information that we're getting, it seems that the Army or the Department of Defense at least was not aware of these emails that the FBI was supposedly tracking. And that's one of the things I think that's going on in the investigation right now.
Does that trouble you?
It does trouble me. I mean, this was the whole problem we had before we had Homeland Security, that major departments of government weren't communicating with each other. And here we are again, well after 8 years later, and we're still having that same problem where the FBI and the Department of Defense apparently aren't communicating with each other. As a member of Armed Services, it's going to be hard to justify to the people that I represent and the people of this country that there was some breakdown there with a guy that could have done what he ended up doing.
Again, the question that occurred to me was, well, goodness, whether it's the Patriot Act and some of the forfeitures of privacy rights that were understandably asked after 9/11 in this country, others would say not understandably, but again, there's a debate to be had there. And then you go inside the military where you give up those rights inherently by your decision to participate in that organization. Are we getting the yield that we deserve as a country from the forfeiture of the privacy and the benefit of technology when, again, the agencies in our own government may not be using that technology to its highest potential efficiency and intelligence?
Well, certainly you hit the nail on the head when you talked about, whether we reauthorize the Patriot Act or not and sacrificing some of the freedoms that that people enjoy. With regard to being in the military, those things go out the window. I mean, that's why you go wear the uniform, you get your head shaved. There's certain things when you swear to uphold and defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic, you are sacrificing by deciding to serve your country. And if the Army or the Department of Defense knew certain things, but out of political correctness we're being cautious, that's just not going to be acceptable. But like I said before, I want to give the Army the benefit of the doubt. I served in the Army. I loved my time in the Army. I can't believe that we would allow something that would be that obvious to proceed through. So that's what I think we're waiting for in these investigations, these hearings we're going to hold.
Of course. And very before I let you go, what's the calendar on this? In other words, what are the next steps for this investigation?
We had a classified briefing about a week ago where our chairman, Chairman Skelton, asked the panel on the military brass, can we have these sooner rather than later, and we were assured that we would. I know that in the Senate they've already begun, so hopefully in the House we'll begin to move forward shortly after Thanksgiving.
All right, Representative Rooney, thank you so much for giving us a slice of your morning. We'll talk to you soon again. Tom Rooney, Republican out of Florida, JAG prosecutor, Fort Hood, on the Armed Services Committee, knows what he's talking about. Lynn, very quickly, any thought on the ability, the political fortitude to continue anything that's invasive of people's privacy, to the extent to which privacy invasion is not yielding necessarily, and I don't know whether it is or not, but to the extent to which it's not yielding actual results?
Good question, Dylan, because in a way this will make, you might be surprised, this will make the argument to do this. The problem was human intelligence here, not the electronic intelligence. The story is that they found these through electronic intelligence, that they got the emails. The breakdown was then